Sanātana Dharma, which is not for any making money or doing that. The real Sanātana Dharma, which Ramakrishna proclaimed, which Vivekananda spread to the world, is a real Dharma, the man's philosophy, man's life, man's existence on this planet. Paropakarartham idam shariram. So don't get excited when somebody says it's science. I'll tell you something. I've been saying that coconut oil is the best oil for human consumption and it's very good for the heart. I have given a lecture in the American College of Cardiology in Boston also. People wanted to kill me. In the olden days, they used to put you in the mental hospital if you said something against the conventional thinking. You know, there was a time when there was a man called Semmelweis in Europe who found out one thing. Whenever doctors went to deliver a woman, that woman died of a puerperal sepsis. She got some fever after delivery. She died. And he observed all that, kept records and statistics. Then he found one day his own anatomy professor who was teaching him, one day dropped his scalpel on his own finger. He developed the same disease. So he hypothesized that the poison from the dead body is the one that gives you the disease. So what doctors used to do is they dissect dead body in the morning and come to the ward and deliver women. But midwives who never went to the dead body thing, they had 90% successful rate. So he wrote all that and told the world, you doctors should wash your hands after your thing in carbolic soap and then go and deliver, nothing will happen. Then people said, he's a madman, washing hands. What does he mean? He is mad. So they made him mad and collectively they put him in a mental hospital and he died in the mental hospital. But later on they found out he was right. Washing hands, doctors washing hands has saved millions of lives, which he proclaimed those days. These people didn't take it. Anyway, this is what about a coconut oil. My theory was very simple. Coconut oil and mother's milk have the same fatty acid, which is called monolauric acid, monolauric acid is the base of human immune system. That's why mother's milk you take for 6 months, you have no illness. You don't require vaccination. That's the best vaccination that you can have. Mother's milk you drink for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you don't need vaccination at all because it gives you full vaccination. And then mother's milk, if it is that good, coconut oil must be equally good. People said he is mad, oh, they abused me, they are all kinds of rubbish. Then suddenly America realized after about 40 years that coconut oil is the best oil. And America started proclaiming coconut oil is good. Then they say, yes, B.M. Hegde is after all not a foolish fellow. He's right. Because it has to come from America. We are so slavish, I tell you. Today, yoga has gone to America and it's coming back slowly. You go to America, there are about 43 schools of yoga. Everybody has a yoga school. One day I went to a city and there was one lady in the audience. She came and said, Doctor, when I was a child, you treated me and saved my life. You must come to my house for food. I said, all right. So somebody calls you for free food. Why not? So I went in the evening. After food, she said, Doctor, my husband is an engineer. I am running a school of yoga. I said, what school? Her name was something X, let us say. B.M. Hegde scholar. B.M. Yoga or something like that, after her name. And I have written a book, you must write a foreword. I said, okay. She said, what are you doing? I have written a book called Pranayama. What's Pranayama? Pranayama. Pranayama. Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. I said, Pranayama, my God, no. It's Ayama. Prana Ayama, movement of breath. And this is a kind of yoga that your hot yoga, cold yoga, yoga at 70 degrees centigrade and all. It's all commercial. So they make and that yoga comes here, we say yes. Acupressure from India, especially from Siddha and Ayurveda. What's called in Siddha, they've got a vermology, pressure points where you can stimulate, you can get diseases come under control. It went to China through the Chinese travelers and became acupuncture there. Came back, it can be practiced in New York because the government then after independence in 1948 supported that. Whereas our government in 1947 when we became independent, they condemned Ayurveda. Because we didn't have Indians as our rulers. We had RNIs, resident non-Indians. As our rulers for 70 years. What they said was, Ayurveda is bad. Don't encourage Ayurveda. So you can't practice Ayurveda in New York legally. You can practice acupuncture in New York. But today Ayurveda has become so popular in the West. People don't know. This boy who wrote to me a letter this morning doesn't know. There are 70 places in Ayurveda centers in America. There are 4 Ayurvedic medical colleges in America. And there are a lot of practitioners of Ayurveda in America. And Ayurveda is accepted in the West as a science. And Ayurveda is a holistic science. It understands the body as a whole. Not only as a whole, it understands something more, that each body is different. You can't have one size fits all thing. That's what we do in modern medicine. If this pill works for you, it should work for all of them. And we have what's called evidence. What's the evidence? Controlled studies, cross-sectional studies. We collect about 100 people, give it to them and show that it works. But whereas we had observational research in the olden days, they saw something very interesting. Observed. What they saw was those who were all, in the mental hospital never got an illness. Did you know that? People were locked up in the olden days with mental disease inside the hospital, closed, locked for 40 years, 30 years, 50 years. And observation showed none of them had even common cold. So they wrote that, there's no common cold for people who are in the mental hospital. So we only misinterpreted that. Passion makes some of the best observations but draws wretched conclusions. So we said, if you don't get cold, you will go mad. So I remember when I was young as a doctor, a lot of people used to come and say, Doctor, I didn't get a cold for 2 years. Make me have cold. I said, if I don't get a cold for 2 years, I'll pray God. Why? No, if you don't get cold, you will go mad, I believe. So I want cold. This is the idea. But their observation was right. And similar observations were made. And what they had shown was very interesting finding. That is, when you are a schizophrenic, you have a split personality. You are not yourself. You don't know yourself. You don't know your body at all. You live in a different world altogether. And how can you get a disease? We get disease when you're worried about your body. You every day think, will I get cancer? Will I get cancer? One day you will get cancer. So their observation was right. And they had seen over 40, 50 years how it works. That's how our drugs evolved. Today, America is learning that. What they are doing is they found out, they went to the Amazon forest. And in the Amazon forest, there are people like our ancestors living for 40, 50 years without touch with this nature. They don't even have a piece of cloth on themselves. There's a group called Shimones. These are the aboriginals on the Brazilian border of Amazon forest. These people live up to 100 years. They procreate. They don't have any illness. If they have an illness, they know what herb to take. And this was studied by the drug company bandicoots in America. And they have now said, they have befriended the loggers in Amazon forest. They say, okay, how much money you make by cutting the forest? So much. We'll give you more. Leave the forest alone because that's our future. All our gold mine is in the forest. And we will, so this is the research that's going on in the West now. So look at it. Our Ayurveda had herbs, actually nearly 1,500 herbs. And before that we had what's called folk medicine in India. Folk medicine was very powerful in India. People treated people with some knowledge. Even today they do, a lot of people do that. I hear sometimes people come and say, it seems there is a folk doctor in Shimoga who gives treatment for cancer. So I just wanted to find out. So I went to Shimoga all the way, took a taxi, paid 5,000 rupees and went there. And went to this man's house, an old man in the village. So I told him, you treat cancer? I will, yes. I said, what's cancer? He said, I don't know. Then what's it? My father told me this herb will, I keep it there. I said, do you treat also cancer, kidney disease? Yes. Which one? Same herb. He doesn't know a damn about anything. But you know how the word spreads? One person came and told me, sir, sorry, kidney disease, you people don't have any medicine, you dialyze. That man cured the Sultan of Oman of his kidney disease. He went there and gave the medicine. So when I went there and saw this, I was shocked how they survive. But it's faith that cures. Many times the faith fails to cure, you die. When you die, they don't record it. So unscientific. They don't record anything which is negative. They record everything that is positive. Somebody survives because he is lucky to survive. He is destined to survive. You don't die with any disease necessarily. So this is how this spreads. Anyway, but folk medicine survived for thousands of years in India. And from folk medicine, Ayurveda got a lot of drugs also. So Madhava Nidana and later on, you get drugs from folk medicine also.